How do you get the best deal on your airfare? I'm Colleen, I'm a certified travel professional, and today we're going to go over some tricks that you should know when you are looking at purchasing airfare. You are going to want to start taking a look at Google Flights about 8 months out for your international trips and at least 3 months out for those domestic flights. That's going to give you an idea of where the flights are currently. And Google Flights is actually a great way to see overall pictures. There are some things you should be aware of, however, when you're looking at Google Flights. You are looking at the price that you're going to pay for the minimal amount of service when you're looking at that price tag. You're also going to want to pay attention to how long those flights are. Time is valuable, and some of those low fares that you are seeing are going to take multiple stops, and they're going to be many more hours than you would have to take if you took a slightly higher priced flight. As an example, when looking at going to Greece this last year, there were really good deals if we wanted to take 24 to 29 hours to get to Greece. So once you have your Google Flights kind of up and you've looked at the pricing, if you've started early enough, so if you're that person that gets on there about 8 months out before you need to start traveling for those international flights, or about 3 months for those domestic flights, look and see if you've got what you want. If not, it's okay to close that up and come back. There are actually apps like the Hopper app that will help you find the flights. They'll give you notifications. So that's another strategy you can use. Google Flights will also notify you. So it's another way to get good flight deals, is if you're using those services to take advantage of the notifications. So let's talk more specifically about those international flights and why it's longer than what you might see for domestic flights. So for Europe, your best deals hit about 4 months out. If you wait till you're closer to about 6 weeks, you pretty much have missed any of the good deals. The last minute flight deals is really a myth. Most people are planning their flights out in advance. And so when we're getting closer to the takeoff time, that's usually the airlines are knowing that their travelers are a little desperate if they're looking at that short time frame. So people who are flying for business, it may also be people who are flying because of a crisis, often seen if somebody has been hospitalized or you've had a death in the family. So that is literally why you're going to see higher prices closer to your takeoff day, is because the airlines know if you haven't planned this in advance, you are willing to pay more for those flights. Flights within the United States, you're going to want to start looking about 90 days out. When Google has done recent analysis, they find that the prices are generally the lowest at about 38 to 39 days out, but you do run the risk of having fewer options for your seats. So you may not be able to have as wide of a choice of where you are sitting if you wait longer to purchase your flights. Again, you don't want to wait until you're closer to 21 days out, because really this is where your airlines are really targeting those desperate business travelers who are really willing to pay more for limited seats. Your peak seasons and your holidays are also going to impact your price of your airfare. If you are limited to when you can travel by school schedules or work schedules, you are going to be paying more to fly during those times. We see this a lot during spring break and over the summer, especially if you're trying to get somewhere like Europe. In the Pacific Northwest, we see a huge increase in prices to Hawaii in February, because a lot of our schools in Western Washington take a mid-winter break, is what we call it, and it typically is happening in February. We are dark and cold this time of the year, and everyone is ready to head to Hawaii. So it's quite expensive to fly from Seattle to Hawaii at that time period. We have found as a family that it's more valuable to fly to Europe during that time. Not only are we getting less expensive airfare, we're also getting less busy tourist areas when we are visiting Europe. Not only will your airfare be higher during those peak times, but your car rentals are generally going to be higher, your accommodations are going to be higher. You may need to plan further in advance to get accommodations where you want to stay and to get your seats together on an airplane, depending on how many people are going together. So if you have the ability, deciding to travel off season or just shoulder season, so rather than going in July or August. Maybe you wait and you go in late September, October, and you tend to go in early May in order to avoid those school closures. If you can avoid going at Easter, that's also a very common time for spring breaks. And so if you are avoiding that time of year, you also are less likely to pay higher prices at that time. When looking for flights, some of our practical strategies for getting good deals is going to be knowing in advance where you're going to go, maybe even having some flexibility of where you want to go. If you know you want to go to Europe, but you're pretty flexible about where in Europe you're going to go, you might actually find that if you base your decision of where you go on your airline prices, you may end up in a spot where you never thought you would travel and have a wonderful time. Another strategy is to go off peak season. That's going to be summer and school breaks. Another strategy is to avoid any of those last minute decisions when it comes to flying. You will always be paying more. I hope this is helpful for you to kind of get your brain wrapped around everything we're considering when we're looking at airfare. Sign up for our newsletter. The link is in the bio.